was just another Tuesday morning as I found myself frolicking into my office. But before I can be met with the depressiveness of Overwatch, I saw that they posted a new director's take explaining the future of Overwatch heroes. But as I was scrolling, I noticed that they mentioned that Hanzo will be receiving a slight nerf to his damage so that he is no longer able to one-shot 250 health heroes like Mei and Reaper!
Whoa! The stage just keeps getting better
But
and
I
better!
spoke too soon because when I scrolled down, I saw that Mei was also gonna be getting a buff in the next patch.
Let's go! You hear the news, little boy? You getting nerfed and I'm getting buffed! Let's go!
Things were looking great.
Hey, but what about me?
What do you mean, what about you?
Well, they talked about Hanzo and Widowmaker. What changes am I gonna be getting?
Alright, where does it say Widowmaker and... Oh.
It turns out that Widow's gonna be losing her one-shot capability on targets that are 50 meters or higher away.
Yeah!
Alright, enough terrible acting. Let's talk about these one-shot heroes, Widowmaker and Hanzo, getting nerfed in the next season patch. The first hero I want to talk about is Widowmaker, because when it comes to Hanzo, there's less to talk about, but I also feel like there's less worry when it comes to that hero. And I also hate that guy. But when it comes to Widowmaker, like my skit suggested, they're going to be nerfing her damage fall-off range, going from 70 to 100 meters to now 40 to 60 meters. They're also going to be increasing the damage fall-off scale from 30% to 50%. Now, I know when I read those Widowmaker nerfs that you might not fully understand what any of these changes are, like what's a damage scaler, what's fall off range, but even if you do know what they're talking about, you might not comprehend how drastic of a nerf this is because you don't have a visual representation comparing the old Widowmaker and new Widowmaker. And luckily, PMA Jellies on Twitter actually has a workshop code that you can try yourself comparing the two Widows from Season 4 and Season 5. And how this workshop works is that there's going to be two colored bubbles surrounding Widowmaker. The green bubble is where the damage fall off starts and the red bubble is where it ends. And what's so great about this workshop code is that it can show you visually how drastic this change is, because the old Widow is going to show you from 70 to 100 meters, but the new Widow is going to show you what 40 to 60 meters of distance is truly going to be. And I know just comparing the two distances is scary, but when you actually see a headshot getting affected by this distance change, this is where it gets even more scary, because with the old Widowmaker, you obviously got a one-shot headshot at 70 meters. When you got to 85 meters, sometimes you got a headshot. Admittedly, it's very hard to measure with 85 meters in between the green and the red. However, when you got to 100 meters, obviously you wouldn't get an instant one-shot headshot. That was just standard, that was very normal, but it was still relatively good for Widowmaker because, well, typically you would always find a target from 0 meters to about 85 or so, where you would be able to secure a one-shot headshot very consistently. But when you compare it to the new Widowmaker that has a 40 to 60 meter range fall-off damage, yeah, you can still secure the one-shot headshot at 40 meters, but as soon as you hit 50 meters or above, you're no longer gonna be able to get that one-shot headshot. And it's even scarier when you take this workshop code into different maps just to see how much closer you gotta be to the enemy. On Ilios, on Havana, on Junkertown, Widowmaker is no longer going to be dominating these long-range maps like how she used to because, well, she's not going to be securing these one-shot headshot kills. As soon as you get hit in the head, as long as you're 50 meters away, you can just easily back away, and now you know where the Widowmaker's at, and that makes her so much less effective. Now, after seeing this, Widowmains and even some non-Widowmains might be asking themselves, okay, well, why are they doing this? Because that was my first question, because I was thinking, well, Widowmaker's always been able to do this. Why is it now that Overwatch wants to suddenly nerf Widowmaker? And the answer that I came up with that is pretty simple is due to the fact that Overwatch 2 is now 5v5. There's one less tank on the field, meaning that you have to really choose. Do you stay and protect your team with a shield, or do you go and dive the Widowmaker and put pressure on her? You see, in Overwatch 1, yeah, you can run double shield or double dive. You can have a variety of tanks, but if if there was a Widowmaker, you can have a shield tank like a Reinhardt or a Sigma to stay with the team and protect them, but then you can also have a dive tank like a Diva or Winston to go and put pressure on the Widowmaker, meaning that she wasn't that effective. Plus, you also just had two giant tanks on the field absorbing all those Widowmaker shots. But now in Overwatch 2, you have one less tank to absorb all the shots. You have one less tank to go and put pressure on the Widow. You have one less tank to protect your team if you decide to choose a dive hero. And that's why Widow is so effective, is that she has way more room to breathe and get these insta-kills from long distances away, that if you went and put pressure on the Widow, you're putting yourself in a dangerous situation. And look, I already know that Widow mains are upset because, well, this is what she's all about. This is what makes her a sniper, is that she gets one-shot headshots. This is how it's always been in FPS games ever since God knows when, CS or something. But now it gets into the conversation about one-shot capabilities in Overwatch and if it's healthy for the game. Yeah, Widowmaker's a sniper, but should she have an ability, even though her primary gun isn't an ability, but should she have the ability to get a one-shot kill opportunity every, like, what, 2 or 3 seconds? And while I have my own personal opinions about facing off against a Widow that I'll talk about later, I was very surprised to see the reaction from the Overwatch community. Granted, it was a mix, but I would say the majority of players agree with the nerfs. They want Widowmaker to be less effective from long distances because they hate facing off against a Widow. And I was surprised by that because I just thought a majority of the good Overwatch players would just say, we'll just switch to a dive hero or pull out a long range heroes and face off against the Widow. Skill diff, skill issue, that type of thing. But no, even the top Overwatch players say that, yeah, it's not fun facing off against modern day Widow. So while Widowmaker mains are suffering, what this does is open the doors for a lot more long range heroes, whether it's an Ashe, whether it's a Soldier 76, a Casty, but surprisingly, a Hanzo. While Hanzo mains think that they're suffering as much as Widows, you ain't, bruh. Like, you're gonna be able to still get one-shots randomly, RNG hero, by the way, but when facing off against a Widow in a vacuum, if you're above 50 meters or away with Hanzo, you're gonna beat that Widow. You're gonna be able to one-shot that Widow and kill her because she's a 175 HP hero, and you're gonna live her headshot from 50 meters and beyond. Yeah, Hanzo's gonna struggle against 250 HP heroes, but you wanna know what heroes have 250 HP besides tanks? Mei, Reaper, and Bastion. And while you can argue that Mei is somewhat of a meta here, she's definitely not the best. When it comes to Reaper and Bastion, if they were just a little bit better, yeah, maybe I would fear for Hanzo's life, but no, they're not that great of heroes. So if anything, while yes, Hanzo's gonna suffer against those 3 heroes specifically, I think he's still gonna be one of the best DPS heroes to play because he provides so much DPS, and against the other traditional sniper, he beats her. And that's what I just find so confusing about these changes, is that when it comes to facing off against a Widow, yeah, it sucks to face off against her when she's 70 meters plus away, but thing is though, you still have to have somewhat good aim to be able to do well with Widow. I really didn't find it unfair that much whenever I died by a Widow because, okay, well, she's just better than me. She has better positioning and better aim. But when it comes to Hanzo, again, maybe it's my biased hatred towards him because I really do not like this dude, but the same can't be said for him. Again, maybe it's biasness, but he doesn't require the same aim mechanics and skill as Widowmaker because he's a lot easier to control. He has way more spam capability and he has way more RNG and headshot capabilities. Yes, it's getting nerfed when it comes to Mei and Bastion and Reaper, but what about the rest of the DPS lineup? You're still gonna be able to get in conclusion, I hate Hanzo. He's not gonna be affected that much, and Widow mains, you're going to be able to build a river out of your tears because you're going to suffer in Season 5, I can tell you that much. But the Overwatch team said that one-shot capabilities really aren't that welcomed in their new iteration of their game. But it's just kind of surprising because that's what Widowmaker's all about. She is the sniper hero. But now Hanzo is a better sniper than the traditional sniper hero. I just don't understand it. But hey, and now I don't have to suffer when playing Mei because whenever I see that purple lady come out, I know I'm going to outlive her and go into my cryo freeze. I'm gonna be all safe and cozy in my little ice block because now Mei's also getting buffed. But I want to wait before I say anything about the Mei changes because usually if they're gonna buff Mei, maybe there's something more that comes with it, but who's to know? Be on the lookout for next week's video where I compare all the hero changes when Season 5 comes out. But I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching more Overwatch 2 videos to come, and bye.